now 6 p.m. I call this meeting of the Smith County Emergency Services District 2 to order. And so far there is a quorum present. Commissioner Arnold, Commissioner Wilson, Commissioner Domney, myself, and Commissioner Thornton is running late. And at this time, I'd ask Chief Greaser to lead us in a prayer and pledge allegiance to the United States and Texas flags.
Our Father in heaven, we're indeed grateful for this opportunity to meet together as a district and discuss the business of our service that we provide to the county. We're thankful for all of those that serve, both volunteer and professional. We're thankful for the many blessings of assets that we've been blessed with, and we pray that we would continue to serve in our will. And we pray that our meeting tonight would be pleasing unto thee, and we would do as thou would have us to do. Guide and protect us, be with all of our firefighters, all of our police officers and paramedics out in the field. Bless us as we go through the storms. In the name of Jesus Christ, we now pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Right. Okay. Item 3 is recognition of guests and special presentations, which I don't think we have any, and I don't think we have any special guests. And so we'll move on to item 4, which is public comment. We have anybody signed up for public comment? Okay, have nobody for that. So we'll move right on to our consent agenda under item number 5. Discuss, consider, and take any necessary action related to the payment of accounts, bills, invoices, payroll, requests for reimbursement, requests for other payments, transfer of funds, and amendments. Under 5.1 is ratification, and I didn't see anything out of the ordinary with those, and I would entertain a motion that we approve those.
Make a motion that we approve our ratification under 5.1, the amount of $468,839.98.
Have a motion by Commissioner Dominic that we approve the ratification of bills in the amount of $468,839.98. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Arnold. Any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. 5.2 is payment of bills. These are our standard bills, payroll, our tax office, and stipends, and things of that nature. I entertain a motion for that.
I'll make a motion that we approve 5.2 in the amount of $1,137,454.68.
Have a motion by Commissioner Arnold. We pay our bills in the amount of $1,137,454.68. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wilson. Is there any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Any opposed? Say nay, and that motion carries. 5.3 is our district credit cards. I looked at most of those, and I didn't really see anything out of the ordinary unless somebody else found something that I didn't see. Okay, I'd entertain a motion to approve that.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Pay our district credit card with a total of $17,395.72.
Have a motion by Commissioner Wilson, and we pay our credit card bills in the amount of $17,395.72. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Arnold. Any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. 5.4 is our contract payments, which is our Blue Cross Blue Shield, our fire department stipends, and service. Now, I would entertain a motion to approve that.
Make a motion to pay our contract payments in amount of $33,893.43.
Okay, have a motion by Commissioner Dominy to pay our contract payments in the amount of $33,893.43. Have a second? Second by Commissioner Wilson. Any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. And that motion carries. 5.5, which is our urgent purchases, which was, we had one for Brad's transmission in the amount of $5,950. And I would entertain a motion to approve that.
Make a motion that we approve 5.5 for $5,950.00.
Okay, have a motion by Commissioner Arnold. We pay our urgent purchases in the amount of $5,950.
Second.
And second by Commissioner Dominy. Is there any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. 5.6 is emergency purchases. We had none this period. And 5.7 is our pre-approved payments, and that's for board information only. That's our Blue Cross and Blue Shields of Texas in the amount of $98,544.37, and our Verizon Wireless bill in the amount of $4,401.65. So that's it. Under 5.8, 2025 VFD compilation services from Squires and Company. That's for the audits. That amount was $7,550. And
Commissioner Brown, I want to clarify that's not for an audit. That is actually the compilation of our books.
books. Okay, I'm sorry. All right. That's great. Thank you for doing that. So we need to.
Motion that we approve Squires and Company in the amount of $7,550.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Dominy. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Arnold. Is there any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. Item 6, approval of minutes. Receive, discuss, and take any necessary action relating to the following reports. Board of Commissioners, December 22nd, 2025 minutes.
Review those minutes and make the motion that the board would approve them as submitted.
Okay. I have a second?
Second.
A second by Commissioner Wilson that we approve the board minutes of December 22nd, 2025 as submitted. Any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. Item 7, Executive Director's Administrative and Financial Report.
So as usual, you have the written report available, and I will point out a few highlights. And the first one is that the consulting firm that we have hired to do the strategic plan or assist with that, we have completed all the data gathering, and they have assigned a project manager. So on Wednesday, we're going to have another Zoom meeting, and we're going to outline the schedule going forward when they can come down here and visit with us and spend a day or two and meet with all the stakeholders. So that is progressing nicely, and I think we're actually ahead of the plan a little bit. As you know, the new mobile command trailer has been under progress for a little while now, and it was actually put to the test for the first time in this past ice storm that we had. And a few things came to light that needs to be corrected a little bit. Apparently it's pretty cold in there when there's an ice storm, amongst other things. So moving forward to the financial aspects, sales tax revenue is tracking very closely to what we budgeted once you strip out the one time from last year. The operating performance is continue the previous pattern that we saw the entirety of last year, whereby overtime tends to track higher and it's pretty much completely offset by the regular salary expense tracking lower. So that is still the case, and we'll keep doing our best to try and mitigate the overtime usage as much as possible, but it doesn't help that we have ice storms that require additional resources either. So I want to give a special recognition to our accounts payable lady, Amy, that reports to Keith, and Larry for jointly and independently coming up with this new process whereby pretty much we've cut out walking around with invoices, hard copies to get signatures on them, and that is all now an electronic workflow that goes around. And especially since we have some people that needs to sign are up in Fleet, and some people down at admin in White House, so having that electronically is a great time saver. And those were really the highlights that I would like to cover. So I'm available for any questions.
All right. Anybody have any questions for Eric? Okay, we'll move on to 7.2, the investment portfolio report.
And every quarter, or shortly thereafter, or quarter end, we produce this report that shows the money that the district has invested. And we also report what the return was during the quarter. And every quarter, myself and board treasurer, Mr. Domini, independently go in and verify the numbers. So that is what you have attached. And as of quarter to end 12/31/2025, the district had 18 million with the main Fidelity account and about 8 million with the sweep account underneath the region's operating account that is also swept into the Fidelity treasury account. So the total then is 18 plus 8, approximately $26 million. And everything looks correct to me.
Everything's been great.
Okay. No action to be taken on that. All right, we'll move on to item 8 then. Nobody has any questions or comments. We'll move on to the financial reports. I guess that's you, Mr. Keith.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Commissioners. I'd like to look at the December 2025 budget to actual all funds. You should have a copy in front of you. As Eric mentioned, our revenues are tracking fairly close to budget. We're 3 months into the year, so there's really not been that much activity, but there's nothing unusual showing up or nothing unplanned for so far. Also, as Eric mentioned, our overtime is skewed a bit, but in the first quarter of the year, we have several holidays, which we've created. But we are also keeping an eye on it, scrutinizing it closely. We think there's going to be some surpluses in other areas within compensation to cover. Benefits are tracking as we would expect overall. Again, there's nothing really unusual to report. There are a few deficits, one being insurance, but we started the year with a deficit. And then also we have a miscellaneous expense, but that has to do with a bookkeeping recommendation from our auditors. Our budget was actually already finalized when they had made that recommendation on how we record HDL. So other than that, there's really nothing unusual to report. Everything's going as planned. I'm available to answer any questions if anyone has any.
Pretty steady managed and we're conducting our business. Good job, appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Item 9, Director of Human Resources. Under 9.1, Human Resources report.
Okay.
Ms. Sherry?
All right, before I use my HR report for January, there's a few things I want to point out on it. One is Stephanie Wimberly and Brandon LeBeau have both transitioned from temporary to full-time, and they're doing great jobs from everybody I hear from and what I've seen personally. W-2 forms have all been mailed out prior to January 31st. The 1095Cs are in transit, and as soon as we receive those, they'll be mailed out, but no later than March 2nd. Evaluations, administration 360-degree reviews and performance evaluations began on January 16th, and they will conclude on March 4th. And then the other thing was, Texas Mutual is conducting their annual workers' compensation audit. They will be in our offices actually tomorrow. The date changed from January 22nd to February 3rd. So they'll be here tomorrow. And unless you have any other questions, that concludes my report.
Do you have any expectation of having any, material adjustments to the workers' compensation?
I'm not expecting any because I report that, quarterly to them, so I don't expect any.
Okay, not good, thank you.
So we got significant dividends last year. Well over 100,000. So yeah, and because like Sherry said, we do it quarterly now, it's really almost just a desk audit, so it's remote. They're not in the office, they'll be doing it remotely.
I'll be calling.
So it's really what they call a desk audit, so they're really balancing to last year and just looking solely at this year.
Yeah,
So,
that is a correction. They were coming in office. They changed it yesterday to a phone call.
All right, 9.2 is discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on ESI Employment Assistance Program 2026 contract renewal. And I guess Sherry, you'll talk about that.
Yes. Before you is a funding request for ESI Employee Assistance Group. That is our employee assistance program that we currently have. This is for the contract renewal for 2026. It is in the amount of $6,859.50. It covers 165 employees and 112 volunteers. It is a slight increase of $382.50 over prior year, and that has to do with our growth with paid staff and volunteers. And so attached is the funding request, the contract renewal, the invoice, and also the activity report throughout the year. And if you have any questions on that, I'd be happy to answer any.
I'd make a motion that we would approve the funding request in the amount of $6,859.50.
We have a motion by Commissioner Dominic. We have approved the funding request in the amount of $6,859.50 for our EPA program. I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Arnold. Is there any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. And that motion carries. And at this time, I'd like to say we have Commissioner Thornton that joined us at 6:18 with the meeting. So he is here now. And under 9.3 is discuss, consider, and take any action on the training, professional development, and tuition reimbursement policy.
Yes. Currently, we do have a training, professional, and development policy that we have been established practices, but we don't have anything in writing. And so this was actually putting it all in writing and actually also adding another component for tuition reimbursement. So the agenda item proposes the adoption of a comprehensive training, professional development, and tuition reimbursement policy to formalize our existing procedures and introduce a structured tuition reimbursement benefit. The proposed policy will establish clear, consistent guidelines for the training and professional development opportunities already in place and add a tuition reimbursement component to support the employees pursuing education that enhances job-related skills, certifications, and leadership development. The implementation is strategic investment in the district's workforce. It supports the employee retention and demonstrates a commitment to long-term career growth and professional advancement. It is based upon a grade as far as the tuition goes, as far as how it will be reimbursed. An A is 90% and a B is 75%, I believe. I don't have that in front of me. Hold on. Yeah, the B is 75%. Grade C is 50%, and below C there would be no reimbursement. There is a cap at $3,000 per person per fiscal year. On this part of the policy, it would not be in effect until October 1st, so that we could get that into budget. But the other part of it, the first part, the training and professional development, like I said, which we're already implementing, just putting it into formal written policy, that would be in effect as of 2/1. So do you have any questions on that?
If I may just add
Sure.
one clarification too. The tuition reimbursement is as long as there are funds available in the budget. So whatever the board decides to allocate to that budget at the beginning of the fiscal year, as soon as that money is tapped completely, there's no money available for the remainder of the year.
And so anybody that's participating could actually come to you and talk to you about where we stand on current expenses within the year, so before they make their own commitment.
Absolutely.
They would have,
Yeah.
they'll talk to them.
Yeah, well, they have to submit a request.
It'll be a funding request as
Yeah,
usual.
and then it has to be approved before they actually take the classes.
Mr. Donley, one way that we can project that and get ahead of it for budget planning purposes is to do some planning amongst everyone, just submit their request, their plan. Previous life, we did something very similar to that, and that's how we set that budget related to that. Some used it, some didn't, some used more, and so there was funds in there that would take care of that. But it gave us a strategic way to go about that planning.
Thank you.
Question I have, is this gonna be under Chief Clanton's training budget, or is this gonna be under Sherry's budget?
It's going to be separate under sheriff's budget.
All right. I'll entertain a motion from that. You recommend that we approve it, is that correct, Sherry?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll make the motion that we approve and adopt the training and professional development tuition reimbursement policy, which is basically moralizing our current practice and setting the guidelines for our tuition.
Okay, so a motion by Commissioner Domney, and a second?
Second.
A second by Commissioner Thornton. Any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. And that motion carries. 9.4, workforce injuries report. Information only, no action be taken.
Yeah, I'm happy to say we had no injuries in January that resulted in loss of hours.
Okay, that's great.
Yes,
All right. Everybody else is back to work, right?
yes.
Okay. All right. Item 10, Community Outreach Coordinator. Ms. Nikki?
Sorry, we have a big call going on right now, so I'm chatting with the media over here. Okay, I want to start by talking about the website because we've had just a couple little pushbacks on it as we had a project manager changeover, and then of course we went into the weather months where people were taking vacations. We got to the part where we were merging our single sign-on processes, ran into just some technology communication there. That's been worked through, so we've successfully navigated that. So now we are at the final step where they're just creating the jump board, which allows for our employees to log in and get to any of their necessary training, policy updating, payroll, HR benefits, things like that. So that's that last step. So I don't want to be, I'm not a pessimistic person, so I'm going to cautiously say we should be in by February. And not touching March, but I just because of the way things have played out, I'm going to say that. But other than that, we've had a couple people look over just kind of the framework of the website, and so far I think we're pretty proud of how it looks. And so once we get in there, I know I've got another updated training scheduled for tomorrow, just to make sure all of our T's are crossed and I's dotted. Looking over the last year in review, and really I came in not long after Chief Greaser, it was kind of cool to see how we ended 2025, and a lot of that was just attributed to all of the projects that have been supported. So one of our big accomplishments that we got to promote to the public was with our medical certification. So if you didn't see, all of our employees reached EMTB status minimum with our, I think 16 paramedics, 7 that have already passed their advanced EMT National Registry. So we got to promote that, and that was just fantastic. More than 10,000 calls ran for 2025, almost 11,000, and we got to distribute and share with the public, how many, or well, which of the stations, which areas had, responded to the most car accidents, most fires. And so that was just interesting to see how all of that played out. We spent a lot of time, obviously, with the weather, in support of the fire marshal's office and of the county officials, just encouraging everyone to know what was coming, how to prepare. Spent a lot of time with the media talking about those things, and then backing up to the Wade Cannon Act. New Year's Day. More than 50 wildfires New Year's Day. I think everybody was exhausted that day. That was a little bit of a crazy event. So we were just moving from call to call, but everyone handled it wonderfully. The dozers have been a huge hit as far as engagement online and people seeing those tools and tactics being implemented throughout the county. And then I just want to give a shout out to Sharon Mosley with the Top Ladies of Distinction. They're a group here in Smith County, and they, within their group, were recognizing first responder appreciation. So they went out to one of the stations off 31 and just kind of showered that crew with a few gifts. Also, we have a project coming up within the training division, and so we needed a little outside help. So a shout out to Campbell Custom Homes. They really went above and beyond in accommodating just some things that I need to help Chief Clinton put that project together. So really appreciate their willingness. And then after the weather, we didn't know if we were going to get to do this, but Chief Van Winkle was asked to speak at ARP High School with the college and career students and got to talk to them about becoming a firefighter and what it means to work for Smith County and kind of promote some of our local junior colleges and how to go about it. And so it was just really neat to get to take a step back and kind of view that from the perspective of high school students. And I was like, man, this is a pretty great career. So he just did a really fantastic job representing everybody. So this has just been an awesome year in review.
Sound like you've been busy.
I mean, keeping up with all of them, that's a lot of work. They got a lot going on all the time. And the last 48 hours, I think, between the hours of 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock, we've stayed fairly busy. So I don't know what's going on, but we're really busy between 1 and 5. Yes, me and my news reporters are very close now.
Yeah. Well, you brought up about our medical certifications. I think the big deal at safety this year, everybody's seeing that about 67% of the calls that everybody runs, whether it's ESD or what, are medical calls. They're not fire calls. So kudos to getting our guys trained up. So, all right. Thank you, Nikki. All right. Item 11, Assistant Executive Director's Report. Are you going to handle it?
Larry is tied up elsewhere.
Right. So
he's actually representing the district at a ARP council meeting, which is part of our effort to build better and solidify our relationships with the various judicial entities out there. So we will make a team effort to address Larry's items in this particular meeting. Brandon will speak to the specific monetary requests, and as far as his report is concerned, I think if you read his summary report, it's a very comprehensive summary report, and if you have any questions, I'm sure all of us here will be able to answer any of those questions. Right. Basically, all the departments underneath Larry are running as planned, and that includes the progress at Jamestown, which Brandon typically is looking after too. So.
Yeah, it's coming along pretty good.
If you have any questions, I'd like to leave the report part at that.
Yeah, okay. I guess Jamestown's coming along, Brandon?
Yes, sir. Jamestown's coming along very well. Over the ice storm, we actually got the apparatus there almost completely habitable. Got a lot of fantastic drill went to and actually had crew in Jamestown trying to call during the ice storm.
That's great.
I'll say that they've done a marvelous job up there. We went over head to toe, Larry and I. It's looking great. Really, they're moving along.
All right. Anybody have anything else? Any questions? 11.2, discuss, consider, and take action on annual air pack flow testing in the amount of $6,535. And authorize the contracted vendor Metro Fire to perform the annual flow testing
Yes, sir. Yes, Commissioner, we have a regularly scheduled line item, happens every year for the contractor to come out and perform the flow test on all the SCBA packs and make sure operational readiness is there.
They do those at each individual station, or we got a central point we gotta bring them to?
They usually do a central point, talking to Metro Fire, I think they're gonna stage up at Flint and have everybody come to Flint to do those air packs.
Okay,
BCs will be involved in shuttling packs.
okay.
A lot of captain truck and BCs, there'll be
We're
a
not
lot of,
gonna pull complete units out of service.
correct, we'll minimize that for sure.
All right.
Yep.
All right. Well, that enter-
Motion to approve the vendor Metro Fire to perform our annual SCBA air pack flow testing in the amount of $6,535.
Have a motion by Commissioner Dominy to authorize Metro Fire to perform our annual SCBA air pack flow testing in the amount of $6,535. Have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Arnold. He beat you, Charles. Any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. 13.3, discuss, consider, and take any action on the purchase of a modular home in the amount of $258,900. And Brandon, I guess you're gonna speak on that?
Yes, sir. We do have a planned remodel of Jackson Heights coming up here in the very near future, and one of the things that we have going on there is when they're doing that remodel, we cannot house the firemen there. So what we did a self-evaluation, staff evaluation about bringing a modular home, and we were talking about buying a modular home anyway for the Winona project upcoming. And so we want to go ahead with that purchase of that modular home that's going to be placed at Winona eventually, but have it placed first at Jackson Heights to facilitate the housing problem that we're going to run into for the firemen.
So serve double duty.
So double duty will come on completion of the Jackson Heights project. We will move that to its permanent location, which will be at Winona Station.
Not permanent, temporary.
Temporary, yes. Well, I meant
Yeah.
its final destination for the modular
Additional
home.
destination. Commissioners, this will be a proof of concept. This will help us, really, vet that out a little bit further. It'll also be absolutely essential to that remodel that we have planned, and we had hoped to have brought that before you tonight. There was a couple of loose ends that weren't quite ready, in terms of, one of the bids that we need to go back in and revisit and relook at. So we weren't able to just get that in front of you tonight, but that's the plan, would be that it'd be going to Jackson Heights. It would facilitate on-site living quarters while extensive renovations are occurring inside that facility, which desperately needs it.
So when you look at the funding request, you see that it was 258,900, and the budgeted amount was 1,275,000. The 1,275,000 specifically referred to what we budgeted for the Winona temporary facility. And the reason why we did that is because that's where the modular is going to end up once it has served its function at Jackson.
And also where we had budgeted nominally about 300,000 at Jackson for temporary housing. So,
Temporary hair,
yeah, so this should actually help save a little bit.
Save some money.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
I mean, I appreciate the effort y'all go to try to utilize, a single facility for multiple purposes and save the county a little bit of money.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Or save the taxpayers some money.
Well, and just further expanding on that, looking at the home up there at Jamestown, it looks very solid. It's coming together. They've stripped out the floors. They're getting everything to the demo state. It's going to serve us well. Like what we're seeing up there, it's going to do well. So I think this will be similar in nature in terms of the layout and the functionality and the things that it can do. I don't know if you took any time to look at the drawing, but in the bedrooms, having 3 closets divided out so that you can accommodate all 3 shifts. So rather than having additional furniture or things in the room, you can do it in the closet space by having them do the divisions in there. 3 pantries, 3 closets, all the things that we need in a typical firehouse operation.
And moving forward, we want to potentially buy more, and this will actually give us a jumping off point of when we purchase it, if there's anything we want to fix in the future. We can be, we do have a contract with them for future purchases, and that way if there's anything we need fine tune off this purchase, we can do it off this one as well.
It'll be like a proof of concept.
Exactly.
So this is turnkey price?
This is turnkey price, yes.
Okay.
And it's a local vendor.
Yeah.
It is, sir.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. All right,
I'll
entertain
make
a
a
motion.
motion, authorize staff to proceed with the purchase of the modular home from Palm Harbor Villages Incorporated in the amount of $258,900.
Have a motion by Commissioner Thornton to authorize staff to proceed with the purchase of a modular home from Palm Harbor Villages Incorporated in the amount of $258,900 to be used at Jackson Heights and then to be used at Winona. Have a second? Have a second by Commissioner Dominic. Is there any other question or discussion? Oh, it's Charles, I'm sorry. Commissioner Wilson. Is there any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. Item 12, Chief of Operations report.
All right, Commissioners, some already stole my thunder. I applaud you for approving the tuition reimbursement. I think that's a huge quantum leap for the district to continue to invest in our people and development. So thank you for considering and working towards that improvement. Nikki stole my thunder talking about all of our EMS improvements in terms of our paramedics and our advanced EMTs, and we continue to work towards improvements in what an advanced protocol would look like. Our next month, I think it's April, we'll be doing the TILES class again to refresh the paramedics, all the card classes, the ACLS, and all the advanced classes that refresh and maintain those certifications. So we continue to work on that, continue to improve it. Kind of phasing out hiring the ECA certification, and now phasing out all of those that were internal full-time staff with that certification. So we've been able to upgrade that, and for some that was a challenge for them, and it required some loss of family time and studies and additional classes. And so I applaud everyone that stayed the course to do that. It was no small feat to get that taken care of. Nikki did indicate that we ran 10,796 calls. Proud of the work across the district amongst all that provided those calls. So much effort to serve our communities, our citizens with that. A little quick update on CAD. We're coming back together in working to create an interlocal agreement to kind of codify how we'll respond and set up the CAD. There's been a few disagreements about priority calls versus non-priority calls, and we've been kind of working through some of that scuttle. We're creating just a little bit of delay here, but I think we get through that in the next month or so. And we would be bringing that back before you, that interlocal agreement, so that we can kind of get that firmed up and how that looks moving forward. What that is the parameters that will share those resources. In full disclosure, I've had a little frustration here, because I believe in boundary drop, I believe in closest due, I believe in getting the closest apparatus to the call, which is the person on the other end of that line calling for help. Whatever it takes to get that call answered as quickly as possible is what we should do. I believe in that firmly, and it's hard to move me off of that. So I keep working on that, and we'll get there. Some what you might call politics get involved. All right. So most recently, I had a Texas Commission on Fire Protection inspection and audit. I've got the clearance from them. We've done our 2-year fully cleared. We've successfully cleared the audit on Texas Commission on Fire Protection. We are currently, Chief Strickland and I are working to solicit pricing and bids related to the Wade-Cannon Act, House Bill 198. That's the cancer screenings, and really coming up with a plan for how do we incorporate that district-wide. We know that there'll be some appetite amongst the volunteers to do that. That's not what the bill calls for. It's paid professional firemen. But as a district, we feel like we should find ways that we can provide those screenings for those especially that have been with us a period of time. So there's some parameters in there. We're looking at those vendors, a couple of which are more statewide vendors, some that are local, like our community hospitals and things like that, that already provide services. We've looked at Tyler Fire and what they're currently doing, but everybody's having to kind of scramble right now. As you know, this is an unfunded mandate that comes out of the last session that the governor has now signed, and so we're really in between budgets and trying to figure that out. But what I hope is by mid-year to bring some adjustments to you to look at and consider related to how we could get there in the current budget cycle. All right, with all that said, I have a little appreciation to read related to our most winter event. A couple of moments to express my appreciation for the extraordinary effort demonstrated by the men and women of Smith County ESD2 during last week's winter weather event. What we witnessed was the very definition of one team, one mission. As the forecast began to develop, we immediately engaged our system partners across the district. We reached out to each of the volunteer fire chiefs and asked them to roster both brush trucks and tender apparatus. Throughout the operational periods identified in our incident action plans, their response was both immediate and mission focused for us. On the career side, we implemented mandatory overtime and held over offgoing shifts to staff 4 additional 4x4 brush trucks. This proactive posture ensured that our service delivery capabilities remained strong despite hazardous travel conditions across the county. One of those units was strategically deployed from the newly constructed apparatus bays at Jamestown Firehouse 76. Command staff quickly collaborated to solve logistical challenges by securing a camper trailer so crews could safely rest while remaining in service in that area. Within minutes of going live at Jamestown, the crew responded to a critical incident on Highway 80 north of the Sabine River, a clear validation of forward deployment and preparedness. On the evening of Friday, January 23rd, we went fully active in the operational side of our plan from Fire Administration Headquarters, testing the command platform there and going through operational testing, and like Mr. Edstrom indicated a second ago, identifying some challenges that go with that. Within that, both paid and volunteer personnel worked side by side inside of the newly equipped command platform, demonstrating seamless integration and unified command. This operation was heavily supported behind the scenes by facilities, logistics, fleet, and IT professionals who ensured our apparatus remained operational, technology online, our facilities were secure and salted, and had all the provisions that they needed. Our teams had the resources necessary to execute the mission without delay. Additionally, ESD2 maintained a constant presence within the county's Emergency Operations Center, staffed by Chief Smith, throughout this event. The connection provided clear communication, coordination, planning, strengthened situational awareness during the operational period, including conference calls that were shared throughout the county with all of our partners and stakeholders within the county. From Friday evening through Monday morning, this organization operated at a high level, disciplined, coordinated, and resilient. Extremely proud of the team of professionals, both paid and volunteers, who committed to answering the calls, delivered exceptional service to the citizens of Smith County. Their commitment reflects the culture of the district, expectations set by this board, and thank you for your continued support of our personnel, our mission, and the resources that it takes to serve our communities.
We do appreciate it. I know that everybody sacrificed their time during that period to make sure, our citizens stay safe and well served. Thank you for it.
So no accidents. No accidents. We were able to serve all of the calls that came in. As you know, that some of it was a little less impactful. Some of it became more impactful even after the operational period. So we experienced the full gamut within that. We were under a state disaster declaration as well as a county disaster declaration that we were operating within.
Ms. Hammond's up there to tell y'all, and I talked to you, thank you from her and all the community for doing what y'all did. was shocked to see a fire truck in her yard one morning up there, so close.
Yeah.
She appreciated everything y'all did. I know our group from maintenance and contractors worked very hard. We were up there watching them.
Just hours before that, it took everybody, all hands on deck to make that come together.
They got it done.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Happy to answer any other questions you might have about my report.
All right, item 12.2 is discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on purchase of confined space extrication equipment.
Yeah, this is in the capital budget. This is just a slight modification of the exactness of the tool. It's a smaller, more compact. It's made by TNT. It's the standard platform with our battery package, the same way we've been buying. This one just gives us a north and a south tool that'll operate in confined, smaller areas. Most recently, on what I would refer to as the lumberyard incident on the highway, we ran into significant challenges that the crews were having to overcome, create solutions and different solutions, and create. That didn't work, so try this. And so we really pulled everything out of the hat to accomplish that. I couldn't be more proud of the crews that responded there and extracted the driver. I don't know how detailed of pictures you've seen, but totally encapsulated within the cab and under lumber. So it took some very creative technical rescue skills to accomplish that. We've been trying to incorporate a couple of pieces like this that we feel like will be critical to our capabilities both north and south.
Well, they did a very good job. We were up there a little bit, and they had it on the together truck, both lanes, I-20.
Full lumberyard.
The driver was under the truck.
Yes, sir.
Piles on top of him. They did good getting him out of the
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. I applaud.
Gentlemen, I would entertain a motion on the purchase of the confined space extrication equipment.
Make a motion to approve purchase of confined space extrication equipment about $16,488 from Advanced Rescue Systems.
A motion by Commissioner Dominy to purchase the confined space extrication equipment in the amount of $16,488 from Advanced Rescue Systems. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Wilson. Any other question or discussion?
Yes, I do have a question. Is this in our budget for
Yes,
this year?
yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Any other question or comment? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay, and that motion carries. 12.3, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on purchase of warm zone personal protective equipment. Mr. Chief?
Yes, sir.
on that.
Commissioners, this is the body PPE protection that we feel like that we need to incorporate amongst the district. What this provides for is that each riding position on the staffed engines, including all of the battalions, chiefs, and captain truck, would all have equipment on board that would respond to the incident. It gives 4 on every engine. So there's additional capacity in there to outfit if we had either a 4th person rostering with us or additional depending on the size and complexity of the incident type that we're responding to. This is not necessarily the type of equipment I'm excited to bring before you, but I think that's exactly where we're at in terms of the ask of the state of Texas in terms of the response model to active incident shooter events, including what we're doing within the schools and required to do annual training within the school districts that we're already accomplishing with the sheriff's office. Where I get alarmed is anytime we're doing training and we don't have the equipment that we're training with. So we're like borrowing that in almost a make-believe kind of scenario. It's important that we have the equipment to respond to, mitigate, and recover from this kind of incident.
Well, I'd say we are growing and everyone's doing such an excellent
Sure, sure.
So, no, I know this wasn't line item budgeted in the budget session and everything, but it is gonna be covered under our, capital equipment. Is that correct?
That's correct.
It's not gonna be outside of our,
Correct. We've identified a way to get that within the budget, keep it within the budget, and hopefully not come back before you. I don't have any plans to come back before you before October and try to move that or extend it or modify it. So right now, that is the plan.
Without having to dip into the contingency.
Correct. Yeah, that is correct. So right now, there is no plan where we would exceed that.
This is just more protection for our people.
I don't think we can posture much longer without doing that. I think that's where we're at. We're already responding to very critical, acute incidents within Smith County. As you know, there's several. The college had an incident and we've responded with, and there's been active incidents within the county that require this type of protection, and our people need it.
I'll make a motion that we approve the purchase of warm zone PPE from Delta Industry in the amount not to exceed $109,304.12.
A motion by Commissioner Arnold to approve the purchase of the warm zone personal protective equipment from Delta Industrial in the amount not to exceed $109,304.12. Do I have a second? I have a second by Commissioner Wilson. Is there any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay, and that motion carries.
And I hope to God we never have to use it in a live situation.
Right. Item 13, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on fire chiefs presenting and discussing issues with the board for future actions. Art?
Good evening, Commissioners. Of course, those numbers in front of you are from December, so a little while back, but we had 100% participation in that month. January, we just finished our numbers, and we're almost at 100%. We had one that didn't quite make it. But our guys are really buying into rostering and running calls. Recently, we onboarded 3 new members. One of those new members, unfortunately, only lasted about a week, and then he had some personal things come up and wasn't able to continue. One of the other new members just finished the academy, just got his certification a couple weeks ago, and just got his gear about 2 hours ago. So he's ready to go. And then our other new member was actually a member that left us in December, realized he wanted to come back. He kind of missed us, so we onboarded him just in time for the bad weather. He rostered all 3 cold weather days. My assistant chief last week finished his Fire Officer 1 certification and his Incident Safety Officer course, so now he's 100% compliant as far as the service contract goes. Like I mentioned, we had a good number that was rostering over at Station 42 during the cold weather. And then another note, last week we renewed our FRO, or EMS certification, so it's good for another 2 years. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
You see an uptick in people wanting to volunteer, Chief?
Yeah, and we're kind of stealing some from a neighboring city, so.
That's all right,
Yeah,
doesn't matter where you get it from.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
Lord, Chief DeGance.
Good evening. I want to take just a second on a very personal note. So in 2007, in St. Louis, Missouri, we had a firefighter that was shot and killed on duty. So it's very humbling to hear that this district is supporting its firefighters and protecting their lives. That incident, Ryan Homert was shot and killed. Mike Chellis, the engineer, was shot and permanently disabled. They walked into an ambush. Obviously, nothing that would have forewarned them of what was coming, but being prepared, that's what we're all about. And I'm glad to hear that the Board of Commissioners and the Chief are supporting these firefighters to protect them. Much as Chief Hickman indicated, recruiting is up. We don't know what's going on. All the trends are out there, even at safety, talking to people that, the trends are going down for recruiting. We're seeing a pretty positive recruiting atmosphere. Right now, we have 3 that are in the fire academy. We have 1 that's an emergency medical technician. Those are our new candidates, so we have a total of 6 new candidates. Tomorrow night, we will interview another Air Force veteran that wants to join the Bullard Department, so that'll bring us up to about 17 active members, which will restore us. Looked at our trends overall for the year for our hours rostering. After the April induction of the 24-hour firefighters in our station, we did see that downtick. We have been hovering right at that 400-hour mark every month with rostering, with another 300 to 400 hours being dedicated to training. So a big bulk of that training hours, we do have 2 of our personnel that are in paramedic school. So that's a huge chunk of time that gets credited for training. But overall, in the county, I want to talk about the camaraderie. Certainly the winter weather event, it brought us all together, gave us the opportunity to work side by side. I know I talked with Chief Tate. Him and I were running about 300 hours over that 3 days that we had individuals staffing and rostering in the stations. Chief Hickman mentioned that Station 42, normally an unstaffed station, Station 57 in Bullard, which is normally an unstaffed station. We had 9 people. We didn't have places for them to sleep, but we had 9 people in there. So we appreciate the coordination that occurred ahead of time using the National Incident Management System, standing it up, the communications that came out, the briefings. This was as good as preparation as anyone could put together. So my hat's off to the teams that worked to do that and the support from the ESD. On the note that came out, I saw that there were a couple of no responses and single responses, and it caught my attention because it was more than what we normally see in Bullard. So I did prepare a summary of those events. All of them did occur during the week, during the 9 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the afternoon time frame where volunteers are short-staffed. As Ms. Simmons indicated, it's been an exceptional month. Most of these incidents occurred because the paid crew was already out on an incident. Volunteers came in, the volunteers then went out on incidents, and then we got a third call. So we had no responses because we were already 3 deep in calls. But we still managed to get people there and to handle the incidents. So I want you to know that on the volunteer side, I'm still looking at those, and I take that very personally when I see that we're not responding in an appropriate time frame. So we're looking to do the best we can. Any questions for me? Thank you.
Nobody from here from Chapel Hill, so Flint, Chief Stone.
Evening. Well, I just want to say, of course, a lot of my thunder's already been stolen. Flint run through the winter storm. We run over 33 calls during the storm with 0 on the volunteer end. We made every one of them. We had 292 hours rostering, 48 hours, which was at the operations center. I probably had an average of 8 volunteers there the whole time, off and on, especially when the calls started hitting, they were there. I had 2 young men that stayed the whole time. They never left. They run first out every call we had. So, and then as they were saying, volunteerism is up. I've got 3 new people we took on. 1 has completed his wildland. 1 that's like 99%, he's just got 1 checkoff skill. And then I've got 1 that's about halfway through it. So, and then I've got another one that just come up that's moved back that was one of my old volunteers. So we're getting quite a few coming on. And then I just want to say one thing on the drone. The drone flew 19 times in support of operations in January alone. So we've been pretty busy at Flint. Any questions?
If I could jump in and just further expand on that, we've kind of opened up, Hunter Rath is offered to make those responses. When he does that, he's countywide making those kind of responses, whether that's well in or structural, really instrumental in making decisions on the fire ground, on the emergency incident, having that aerial view. Additionally, after the fact, is providing us with the graphics to go back in and review. So he's submitting those files to us so we can go back in and look at those and determine if there's any other lessons learned to be had from that. So a huge appreciation for his willingness and effort to do that.
Which brings up another factor, whether we should fund our own drone.
Yeah, and as you know, last year we had that as a package in there. We did not accomplish that in last year's budget, so we didn't roll that over or anything like that. We're still waiting to see, and consulting with Hunter, Chief Rath, is that all the technology issues with foreign surveillance and things like that. So we're just I had to think of my words there. We're just walking through that at the moment. So I think we just kind of hold tight for the moment.
All right. White House. Like you got stuck again.
Yes, sir, I did. Good afternoon. Please excuse Chief Tate. He's at work this week. So I'd like to start saying, as they've all said, the ice storm. We had 100% participation from White House. That was 11 members out of the 13 that we have, 2 of which were there from the beginning to the end. White House had a total combined of 357 hours. And we'd just like to thank the ESD crew for really welcoming us in. Really welcoming us in and showing us love and giving us, I don't even know, it was just real nice. They really just welcomed, I can't say that word, but yeah. Anyways, for training, we've got myself in EMT school. We have 1 in paramedic school who just started. And then we have 1 in fire academy. He's about 2-3 weeks in. And January, we had 2 personnel attend the Chapel Hill driving training, which went very well. And then Captain Bewley attended the TEACS Leadership Symposium in San Marcos. And then we also have 3 new applicants, so it's going very well. I'm happy to answer any questions that I can.
Thank y'all very much for your.
Thank you.
They want you to say hello. Why not, Chief Allen?
Good afternoon. You're going to have to bear with me. I made this nice printout last night and had it all dealt, but it's currently at the house in my backpack. So we had to devise a plan here while we're sitting here. So during the snow event here, we had roughly about 575 man-hours between Station 27 and 28, plus obviously our crew out at 28. And we definitely enjoyed Brush 222 coming over and hanging out. It was definitely a very utilized resource during that time. So we roughly ran about 30 calls, had 10 personnel on the volunteer side was able to come up and staff and be of assistance there. And those veteran home calls are quite nice when 27 is staffed. You just kind of go out one driveway into the next. It works out really well. We did have some of our firefighters attend CPR training. We also had some that attended the Chapel Hill driver training. And as our department training, we actually went in and performed some of the RIT skills, because that's something that as volunteers we can do other than if you're not driving the tender. We did have 2 attend Safe D as well this last week with you guys, so that was a fun, adventurous thing for them as well. And on a side note, we had a commercial structure fire there at the Loop in 271. And I'll have to say, as far as due to the road conditions and the amount of resources it was going to take to extinguish that fire, it flowed exceptionally well. The tenders were able to get on scene, provide that water supply, go out, immediately tie into a hydrant and get back on location. I figured that fire was going to take quite some time, and it was actually extinguished very quickly and effectively. It was nice to see the teams come together and work. So, all right.
Thank you, Chief Allen. All right. Item 14 will be closed session. The board will convene in closed session in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551.071, 551.072, and 551.074. No action shall be taken while the board is in closed session. Any final action, final Ready, Hector? Okay. Okay. Call open session back to order at 7:44 PM. There's nothing to be voted on. It was, brought before out of closed session, so, item 16 is remarks by presiding officer and/or board members, updates. Items to be placed on future agendas and future meeting dates, times, and/or locations. Commissioner Domney, you have anything?
Just reiterate earlier statements about how much we appreciate the dedication of you and all our volunteers, everybody has shown. Exceptionally proud to see that we're starting to see some new recruitment coming in, which says that we're doing something right around here. We're not attracting because we're not attractive. So appreciate all the hard work that everybody does in securing that. So thanks, y'all.
Charles, you have anything?
No.
Scotty?
I just want to reiterate Commissioner Domney's comments on the volunteerism being up and appreciate the hard work for that. Thank you all.
Yeah. Commissioner Hall?
Same for me.
Yep.
Thank you all.
Yep. And I think that goes for the whole board. We appreciate everything all of you do. It's not just one, it's not professional or volunteer, it's all. One team, one mission, one goal, take care of the citizens. And next meeting will be the fourth Monday. We'll be here, 6 PM. And with that, we'll say, yes, yes.
I appreciate the love quality.
Yeah. All right. With that?
No.
All right. All right. Now it's 7:46.